Hello guys, welcome to my channel Lucid Fanfic, and if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. So be sure to stick around until the end, and let's get started. During Izuku's training, he began to exhibit a sense of hesitancy and unease, something that Sodto couldn't quite put her finger on. She noticed that her darling was acting differently, and it left her puzzled. Yuno, Mikan, and Sodto sat on a bench, observing Izuku as he diligently cleaned the beach, his dedication resembling that of All Might in his buff form. All Might offered words of affirmation and encouragement to Izuku as he worked. "He's acting differently," Sodto murmured, her eyes never leaving Izuku as she tried to discern the subtle changes in his behavior. He is," Yuno responded, her gaze unwavering as she maintained a close watch on Sodto. There was an unspoken tension between the two girls, their shared understanding of the situation hanging in the air. He is," Mikan stuttered, her voice wavering with uncertainty. She found herself torn about whether to share with the others what Junko had revealed to Izuku. Sodto's sharp gaze fell on Yuno as she noticed the girl's prior knowledge of the situation. "You know something, don't you?" Sodto stated, her glare piercing. "You're one step ahead of me, huh?" "Diary." Yuno giggled sweetly, her tone tinged with an unsettling sense of obsession. "That's my quirk. It first activated when I first held Izuku's hand when we were kids. From then on, whenever I activate my quirk on my flip phone, I can foresee our future whenever I want." Her words carried an eerie implication of her continuous watchfulness over Izuku's life. "His future. My eyes are always on him even if I am not physically near him," Yuno continued, her smile taking on an eerie quality as she addressed Sodto. Her words dripped with possessiveness and an unsettling fixation on Izuku. "These girls are truly after him," Mikan shivered, her voice filled with a mixture of admiration and jealousy. "I don't blame them, he's so amazing. He's gentle, kind. His smile makes my heart beat, and I feel completely safe when I am near him. I just wish I could be the one who's closest to him. He makes me feel fuzzy and warm." You two fight a lot," Mikan observed hesitantly, attempting to mediate the situation. "As a friend." "Not a friend. You're just another pest my darling desired to befriend," Yuno replied, her anger evident. "If you suddenly go missing, he'll notice. Say a word about this to Izuku, and you'll truly go missing." Yuno's ominous words left no doubt about the seriousness of her threat, and the intensity of her glare made Mikan recoil in fear. Overwhelmed, Mikan chose to remain silent and continued to watch as Izuku tirelessly cleaned the beach, while Yuno and Sodto's argument persisted. Why do I wish no Mikan? You can't think like that, he's only being kind. But my heart Izuku is kind, too kind." Mikan's internal struggle was evident as her thoughts wavered between reality and her budding feelings for Izuku. Training had come to an end as Izuku, tired, walked home with Sodto. She held his arm with love, her head resting against his shoulder as they walked together alone. "I hope this goes well. I wanted alone time with Sodto. I need to know about it. I can't let this be," Izuku thought, his mind conflicted. He felt the warmth of her chest pressing against his arm, and the moment felt perfect. "It's now or never." Sodto giggled happily, her radiant smile almost making him forget Junko's unsettling words. But a hint of sadness clouded his thoughts. He didn't want it to come to that. How do I bring this up? Izuku's thoughts were in chaos, his internal struggle reflecting on his face. He turned his head away from Sodto, his arm caught between her chest, which only made his situation more awkward. Sugar Plum Sodto, with her signature smile, noticed his reaction, her concern evident in her voice. "Is something wrong? Are you feeling okay?" The tension in the air grew as Izuku contemplated his next words. Izuku paused, his gaze locked with Sodto's. Her eyes held concern, and he felt the tension building. "Why you?" He took a deep breath, his voice wavering. Have you been with other guys BF before?" Sodto didn't know how to respond to the unexpected question. She wondered why he was asking, but before Izuku could speak another word, she tightened her grip on his arm. Her eyes glowed brightly in the night, her facial expression shifting rapidly. The atmosphere grew tense and unsettling, hinting at a hidden secret. Sodto's eyes widened with a mixture of anger and fear as Izuku's question hit her like a dagger. Her gaze grew intense, her mouth gritted, and her voice quivered with a hidden rage as she tried to suppress her emotions. Why would you ask me that? Sata demanded, her voice growing increasingly unstable. Who told you that? Was it Mikan? Yuno? Classmates? Her words were a desperate attempt to deflect from the truth she desperately wanted to keep hidden. She held his arm, preventing him from moving. With every silent second, her grip increased. Izuku closed his left eye in pain to her grip. I want to know, am I your first? Are you loving somebody my back? Right? Izuku attempted to ignore the pain from her grip. He looked into her eyes. You. Mikan and Yuno hid behind an alleyway wall. Yuno smiled once she heard what Izuku was saying. Yuno's voice was filled with a mixture of obsession, possessiveness, and an unsettling sense of ownership. She let out a silent giggle as her eyes gleamed with a manic intensity. Darling, you've noticed, Yuno whispered, her tone both eerie and ecstatic. He's coming back to me, my love, you're mine. The possessiveness in her words was enough to send a shiver down anyone's spine, leaving no room for doubt about the depths of her obsession with Izuku. Tell me the truth, Izuku pleaded. She felt her cooper his cheek with both of her hands. You won't leave me, right? No matter the answer, you can't. You can't. Izuku was shocked for words. She closed the gap between them. She pressed her body against his. Her chest pressed against his. Her personality felt different, a side that Izuku never had seen before. Izuku couldn't believe his eyes as he stared at the gauge. Sata's mental state was at an alarming 400%, the bar on the gauge read. He was utterly perplexed, struggling to comprehend what this meant. The situation had taken an unexpected and concerning turn, and Izuku couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease. Sata's possessiveness and obsession were palpable as she clung to Izuku desperately, refusing to let go. Promise me you won't, you will not, Sodto pleaded, her arms squeezing him tightly, her voice trembling with desperation. You can't, she repeated, the words pouring out of her as she held him in a vice grip. I won't, not unless you tell me the truth, Izuku stammered, doing his best to calm Sato's frantic emotions. I love you, Sodto confessed, her face flushed with emotion. I'm sure you know that, but I love you a lot. My love for those past guys I dated will never compare to my love for you. Izuku noticed the Yandere level decreasing, but the situation remained intense. Yandere level 8. Current mental state 376%. Danger. Yuno, observing from a distance, bit her nails angrily as she watched Sata hold Izuku's hand. Before I met you, Izuku, before I found my true purpose, my broken jar didn't know what love felt like, Sata confessed, her voice trembling with emotion. No matter how many pieces of candy were put in that jar, it couldn't contain it. That was my love. I yearned to feel loved, to experience the warmth of another person, to feel their touch on my skin, to share kisses and hugs, but all I felt was bitterness. Every guy I dated couldn't make me feel anything. They couldn't fix my broken jar. I felt bitter, and it consumed me. She gripped Izuku's shoulders, her hands trembling with the intensity of her emotions. Bitter, she repeated, her voice growing more frantic. I thought I was forever going to be broken, a girl who couldn't love. I didn't want that. Because of that fear, I gave away my first time to someone who wasn't special. Sata's confession revealed the depths of her desperation to feel love and the scars she carried, and Izuku couldn't help but feel a mix of sympathy and concern for her. What he heard next made his skin crawl. As Sata's confession continued, a heavy silence settled between them, and Izuku's eyes widened with shock and disbelief. Sata watched as Izuku slowly stepped away from her, his face revealing a complex mix of emotions. It was clear that the truth he was about to hear was striking a nerve, bringing back painful memories. It all made sense now. The truth that was coming back to bite him was the reason for the mental scar on Izuku's heart. It was a reminder of the torment and bullying he had endured at the hands of Bakugo and his gang, the cruel taunts and jokes that students had made at his expense. These jokes had been like knives, each one stabbing into Izuku's self-esteem, leaving deep emotional wounds. Izuku's past had left him with scars, both physical and emotional, and now he had to confront a painful truth that threatened to rekindle the pain he had tried so hard to overcome. The day before Sodto asked out Izuku. Sodto-chan, a girl called out. At the time, Sodto was popular with these groups of girls. Did you hear about that quirkless kid? Get close to him, and you'll end up quirkless, image that. Seriously. When does he learn that he's nothing special than a civilian? Another girl chuckled. Sodto-chan, we know you dumped a lot of guys, but the girl called out. She leaned towards Sodto. I dare you to date the quirkless freak. All the girls gasped in disgust. Izuku Midoriya? Him? Sure. Sodto said in a bitter tone. She looked at the girl. Date him for 6 months, then break up with him. One of the girls laughed out loud. That will I teach that quirkless freak a lesson. Flashback Yendi. Izuku's emotions were in turmoil, and he felt like his heart was being torn apart. His eyes welled up with tears as he struggled to find the words to express the pain and confusion he was feeling. His voice quivered with raw emotion as he finally managed to speak, though it was difficult to hold back the tears. You dated me. Because of a dare you. Izuku's voice broke as he tried to maintain his composure. Am I just a dare? Someone to joke around with? Am I just a punchline? Because I'm Bakugo's punching bag? Do you even care or love me? The weight of his words hung heavily in the air, and the vulnerability in his voice made it clear just how deeply he had been hurt by this revelation. Izuku's heart was aching, and the question he posed was one that cut to the core of his fears and insecurities. Sodto clutched Izuku's hand tenderly, her voice trembling with a mixture of desperation and deep affection. No, please, I love you. I do. I love you a lot. You're all I think about when I sleep, when I study. All I can think about is you. Her words were filled with the intensity of her emotions, and her love for Izuku was undeniable. Sada's voice was filled with a love-sick devotion as she closed the gap between them. Her eyes locked onto Izuku's with an intense passion. She whispered with an almost obsessive determination, I will never leave you, Izuku. And I mean it, you're mine. I always wanted to be that way. I won't let any girl touch what's mine. Her words were a declaration of her unwavering commitment, a possessiveness born from her deep affection for Izuku. The intensity of her emotions was palpable, leaving no doubt about her devotion to him. The scene played out with a mix of emotions in the onlookers. Mikon observed Yuno's dull eyes, a flicker of disappointment passing through her. On the other side, the sound of embracing filled the air as Sata's lips pressed against Izuku's, her hands gently cradling his face. Yuno's internal turmoil was visible as veins popped from her clenched fist. No. His first kiss was supposed to be with me, she whispered with a hint of frustration and jealousy. Mikon, feeling the tension and fear of Yuno's reaction, chose to remain silent and watch the situation unfold, unsure of what to say or do. Darling, forgive me, Sodto pleaded, her eyes brimming with love and anxiety. She tenderly caressed his face, her touch filled with affection. I didn't want to tell you because I was afraid you would leave me. Even if you try, I won't let you. Her voice trailed off, carrying the weight of her fear of losing him. Izuku experienced an inexplicable warmth blossoming in his chest. Sodto's delicate caresses sent a wave of color to his cheeks, and her soft lips met his for a second time, extending the embrace, each moment feeling like an eternity. Izuku's face turned a bright crimson as he stammered, struggling to find his words. Sodto, he began, the rush of emotions overwhelming him. Sodto let out a laugh, her eyes dancing with a playful gleam as she held his hand, their fingers intertwined. Her demeanor shifted once more as she looked into his eyes with a mixture of curiosity and concern. My love, who told you that? She inquired, her voice now soft and inquisitive. Izuku hesitated, his mind racing to find the right words. The thought of divulging Junko's involvement weighed heavily on his conscience, yet the truth seemed inevitable. Ere he started before pausing. Must I force it out of you? Sodto tightened her grip on his hand, her nails digging into his skin. Who's trying to keep us apart? Izuku sighed, a mixture of relief and trepidation in his eyes. Junko, he confessed, the name slipping past his lips. She confronted me and Mikon on the rooftop. Sodto's expression shifted once more, her demeanor becoming eerily calm. She responded, her tone tinged with a sense of satisfaction. Thank you for telling me, my love. That's very sweet of you. In the depths of his thoughts, Izuku seethed with anger and frustration. He couldn't help but entertain vengeful thoughts about Junko, her actions driving him to the edge. As Sodto turned away from Izuku, her gaze grew cold, and her determination intensified. Her heart burned with a fierce resolve as she muttered, I am going to kill her. Izuku watched her, concern and confusion clouding his thoughts as he witnessed the transformation in her demeanor. He had never seen her like this before. Sodto turned back to face him, and her eyes met his with an unsettling intensity. "It seems I have to show her that you're mine," she declared, her voice laced with possessiveness and a fierce determination that sent shivers down Izuku's spine, holding his arm as they walked together. Izuku was surprised by the outcome, but he could. He trusted her. And forgive her. Sodto jolted awake, her body reacting to the sudden, eerie knock that pierced the veil of the night. Disoriented in her green pajamas, she reluctantly peeled herself from the bed, compelled by an inexplicable force drawing her toward the peculiar sound. The disconcerting knock had transformed into a chilling thud that echoed through her apartment, the wooden floor groaning under an unseen, weighty presence. Each step she took quickened her heart, the darkness amplifying the wild flight of her imagination. Entering the dimly lit living room, she fumbled for the light switch with trembling hands. The sight that met her gaze froze her in terror. The front door, a bastion of security, yawned wide open, exposing the consuming blackness of the night beyond. As Sodto spun around, she was met with the horrifying figure of Yuno, gripping an axe, her eyes ablaze with a ferocious mixture of fury and fixation. A chilling shiver coursed down her spine as Yuno advanced, blocking her path and ominously sealing the door behind her. "My darling keeps falling for your lies." Yuno seethed with frustration, her grip on the axe tightening. "You won't escape. I'll cut you and take back what's mine." Locked in a tense gaze with Yuno, Sato's own anger surged within her as she assessed the dire situation. Swift action was imperative. With lightning reflexes, she dodged Yuno's aggressive swing and retaliated with a forceful strike to Yuno's ribs. The impact sent Yuno careening, crashing into the wall and gasping for breath. Sato's smirk danced at the edge of her lips, though her eyes reflected a mixture of sarcasm and wariness. "Do we really need to do this now?" Her words were laced with a bitter rivalry that rekindled an old taste in her mouth. "Shut it, Izuku is mine." Yuno's voice cracked with a dangerous fervor, her eyes burning with a murderous intent. "I'll end you, you wretch." Yuno swung the axe wildly, targeting Sodto. However, Sato's nimbleness allowed her to elegantly sidestep Yuno's attacks. In a swift move, Yuno shifted her weight abruptly, her knee striking the floor as her axe grazed Sato's ribs. Despite the searing pain, a wry smile played on Sato's lips. Her concealed quirk granted her an advantage in this escalating conflict. "You revealed yours, so here's mine." Sato's voice held a tinge of triumph. "I possess the power to transform any piece of candy I touch into insanity candy at will. These sweets bolster one's physical prowess, strength, agility, speed, and defense, but at a profound cost to their mental well-being." Yuno's widened eyes mirrored the sudden gravity of Sato's revelation. The battle between these two Yandere figures was far from conclusion, the stakes ascending to a new level. Sodto, driven by a fierce cocktail of anger and determination, seized Yuno and hurled her through the kitchen table with staggering force. The shattering impact left Yuno gasping for breath, crimson spittle on her lips, and her body marred by bruises and wounds. Sato's grip on Yuno's collar remained unrelenting, refusing her even a brief reprieve. Yuno's knife tumbled from her hand, and with a deft flick, Sodto propelled her forward. Despite the agony etched on her features, Yuno sported a disconcerting grin, savoring the metallic tang of her own blood. Her laughter resonated through the room as she continued to taunt Sodto, her voice teetering on the precipice of madness. "Your quirk is something else," she remarked between chuckles. "When I say interesting, I mean you're strong, hee, but if I can eliminate you, he'll be mine." Sodto shook her head, attempting to reason with Yuno, her voice strained with urgency. "No, he won't. He'll be devastated." Yuno's response was a noise, a kind of appealing nose, her arms wrapping tightly around her own battered form, an eerie and unsettling manifestation of affection. "Izuku, she did it, she made that noise," her voice dripping with delusion. "It's all right, it's perfectly fine to grieve for your late girlfriend. I'll become your new love, so it won't matter, because he'll seek solace in me. Not only am I his best friend, but I'll be the love of his life." Yuno locked her gaze with Sato's, her expression now an alarming blend of lunacy and fixation. "Love, yes. Love," she declared, her laughter tinged with unbridled insanity. "It's better to rid ourselves of you now than later. I mean, he was so close to breaking free from your hold." Sodto's eyes widened, her realization of Yuno's sinister knowledge casting a shadow over her. You were there when I watched everything," Yuno interrupted, her voice dripping with disdain. "From the moment he mentioned your tainted past to the moment your lips touched his. You sullied him with your depraved mouth." The room darkened, the thick air saturated with the weight of their hatred and unrelenting rivalry. The tension between them reached its zenith. Yuno's grip on her weapons tightened, her eyes reflecting a maniacal determination. Without a moment's hesitation, she sprinted toward Sodto, her axe held high. Sodto, however, displayed remarkable agility, evading Yuno's menacing swing. But Yuno was far from finished. In a swift and fluid motion, she launched a ruthless counterattack with her knife. With precision, Yuno found an opening and drove the blade into Sodto's abdomen, causing her to gasp in pain. However, Sodto was not one to back down easily. She extended her hand, seizing Yuno by the throat, her fingers clamping down like a vice. With a sudden and powerful motion, she hurled Yuno backward. Her enhanced speed allowed her to deliver a devastating punch to Yuno's gut, followed by a lightning-fast kick to her face. Yuno was sent hurtling toward the door, her world spinning from the brutal onslaught. Clutching the knife, its blade now smeared with Sodto's vital fluid, she fought to maintain her composure amidst the chaotic scene that had erupted in Sodto's apartment. The living room bore the scars of their fierce clash. Sodto's table lay in shards, the walls riddled with holes and puncture marks, and the floor splattered with vital fluid, testament to the brutal struggle that had unfolded. With the havoc surrounding her, Sodto's smile remained, holding an eerie and unsettling quality. Her voice, though eerily calm, harbored an unsettling undertone. "You know," she mused, her words emerging with an eerie tranquility amidst the chaos. "I live on higher floors for a reason, because these spaces aren't tailored for adults." Yuno's form quivered from the exhaustion that seeped through her, yet the flickering rage in her eyes remained an unquenchable fire. The smeared knife she wielded trembled in her grip, a relentless symbol of her unwavering determination, despite the sweat and effort etched on her face. Her glare penetrated Sodto's being, a tempest of fury, frustration, and a ferocious need that coursed through her, burning with a savage determination that refused to be extinguished. "I'll kill you." Sodto, against the backdrop of her injuries and the swirling chaos, stood unwavering. Rather than yielding, she emitted a maddening, psychotic laughter that reverberated through the room. "Yet you haven't," Sodto taunted, the echoes of her chilling laughter pervading the confined space, underscoring her resolute and unyielding nature. Izuku Yuno struggled to rise to her feet once more. Her voice quivered with a perilous determination. "I'll kill you. Mark my words." Yuno's movements became a fervent dance of aggression as she unleashed an unrelenting assault. Sodto's punches landed with force, but Yuno's knife inflicted minor grazes on her body and clothes. With determined fervor, Yuno deftly evaded Sodto's kicks, taking her opponent by surprise. With her leg poised over her shoulder, Yuno lunged forward, her axe connecting with Sodto's shoulders. This time, excruciating pain shot through Sodto. A mix of anger and agony flickered in her eyes as Yuno's knife aimed for her neck, only to pierce her shoulder. The room crackled with an intense, heated energy as the two clashed, each movement charged with fierce determination and ferocity. 30 minutes they fought. Sodto found herself on the defensive, the battle's intensity taking a relentless toll on her. Yuno's slashing attacks on her forearms had caused vital fluid to spatter across the floor, and the effects of her quirk were beginning to wane. "You think I would let you take my love away from me?" Sodto's voice quivered with manic excitement, her eyes wide and crazed as she spoke. The excruciating pain she endured seemed secondary to her overwhelming determination and obsession to keep Izuku. Sodto, despite the pain and injuries, remained determined to protect her love. She gasped excitedly, adrenaline pumping through her veins as she fought to keep Yuno away from Izuku. In this intense moment, as Yuno's vision tunneled, Sodto saw an opening and capitalized on it. With swift precision, she maneuvered behind Yuno, leveraging her position to unbalance her. Driving Yuno's head into her stomach, Sodto launched a flurry of powerful punches at Yuno's midsection. Each strike landed with the force of an unstoppable machine gun, driving Yuno back step by step. The unyielding ferocity of Sodto's assault spoke volumes about her unshakable resolve and determination. The barrage of blows, relentless and focused, sent a clear message of Sodto's unwavering intent. Yuno's anguished shouts filled the room, a crescendo of stress and desperation underscored by the wild tugs on her hair. The conflict had reduced them to a nightmarish entanglement, where both girls grappled, exchanging violent punches in a brutal struggle. The battle's zenith arrived, leaving Yuno sprawled on the floor, defeated and bruised, while Sodto stood, victorious but ragged. In the midst of the chaos and turmoil, a flicker of unexpected respect for Yuno's unwavering determination stirred within Sodto. "You truly love him," Sodto commented, her gaze locked onto Yuno. "You're not so different from me." Yuno, still brimming with hostility, retorted sharply, "We're nothing alike. Don't compare yourself to me, you." Sodto's lips curled into a wicked smile. But I have your axe, I could send it as a gift to your parents with your head." Despite her exhaustion, Sodto managed to regain her breath. She peered down at Yuno, her voice weaving frustration, desperation, and even a tinge of grudging admiration into its tone. "I've never met another girl crazier than myself," Sodto confessed, her voice trembling with a blend of complex emotions. "As much as I want to, I can't bring myself to end you. You've been part of Izuku's life for so long. I don't want to hurt him like this. I love him too much." Her words laid bare the depths of her emotions and the intricate web of her feelings for Izuku, casting an uneasy yet intense atmosphere in the room. Yuno's glare remained fierce. Both girls were slowly bleeding out, their powers drained, leaving them physically and emotionally weakened. The aftereffects of their ferocious battle lingered in the air. Despite her victory, Sodto couldn't help but feel an unexpected pang of sympathy for Yuno as they sat in the aftermath of their brutal confrontation. "I emerge as the victor," Sodto laughed, her tone a blend of triumph and sorrow. "But I love Izuku enough to kill for him, to protect him," she admitted, her voice tinged with a mix of determination and affection. Yuno, reflecting on her own unspoken emotions, revealed her regrets with a melancholic sigh. "I've never confessed to him I wish I had. I didn't want to lose the boy I love, even if it meant he only saw me as his best friend." Sodto couldn't suppress a smile. I see her bitterness had somehow subsided, offering Yuno a compassionate glance. "I genuinely pity you," Yuno retorted, tossing an insult her way, and Sodto wittily fired back with girl best friend. A small grin cracked Yuno's demeanor. "Funny, huh? Perhaps, but at least we won't die from blood loss," Sodto remarked. Their exchange abruptly halted when Mikon burst into the room, witnessing the disarray and blood. "Sodto, you know what happened?" Mikon exclaimed with widened, shock-filled eyes as she rushed to their side. "There's so much fluid." The shocking sight threw Mikon into a frenzy, palpable tension suffusing the room as she grappled with the scene. Mikon rushed to the bank store to determine their blood types. Once fully healed, she spent the night at Sodto's place, sleeping on the floor of her room. Surprisingly, Yuno did the same, and to everyone's surprise, Sodto managed to sleep through the night. Their battle had reached a conclusion, revealing the depth of their feelings towards Izuku. Meanwhile, Mikon remained oblivious to the intense conflict between the two. 3 months until the entrance exam. Izuku tirelessly heaved and gathered the colossal pile of trash. Pausing to survey his work, he marveled at the astonishing transformation he had brought to the beach. What was once a littered shoreline now stood as a pristine landscape. And the change was not just in the environment. His own body had undergone a remarkable shift. No longer the lanky Izuku people had known. He had sculpted himself into a muscular and robust figure. "What is this?" Izuku gritted his teeth, feeling the overwhelming weight pressing down on him. I can't. The refrigerator's mass bore down relentlessly, making it increasingly difficult to hold out. Izuku's determination surged as he screamed, pushing with every ounce of his being. Sweat poured down his face as he strained, and, gradually, he managed to lift the refrigerator off the ground. Aki shouted in a mix of pain and triumph. With trembling legs, he pushed the heavy refrigerator aside. Smash Izuku's body quaked as he struggled to remain upright. Looking around, he realized he was alone on the beach. What would a? Izuku's eyes widened as a figure dashed toward him. He barely managed to block her powerful punch, causing him to slide backward on the sand. Attempting to get up, the figure reappeared and sent him sprawling onto his back with a swift kick. Gasping for breath, Izuku attempted to rise, but he was forcefully pushed back down. "Do you want to die?" the figure asked. Izuku recognized her instantly. "Maki." Izuku shouted in surprise, instantly recognizing her. She glared at him with anger in her red eyes, her gaze piercing deep into his. "Shut up. Do you want to die?" Maki snapped, her voice unwavering and stern. Nevertheless, she retreated slightly and added, "But don't misunderstand. I'm not here to shed tears because of you. You did save me, though." Her words blended irritation and gratitude, mirroring her stoic and reserved demeanor. "That's all right," Izuku replied as he sat up. "Even if you don't thank me, I'm still glad I could help you." She glared at him, her expression stern. "What are you saying? You should be dead. I could have died right here." And right now Maki's voice held a hint of frustration, but then her demeanor softened as she continued. "But I am happy that you came to help me." "They're happy, Mr. Hero." She averted her gaze, her cheeks flushed, struggling to contain her emotions. "I don't understand you." "You don't?" Izuku looked at her, appearing somewhat shocked. Maki let out a sigh, her expression still somewhat stern. "It bothers me how you acted so recklessly to stop my mother from hurting me. When Opia told me that you were quirkless, I wasn't worried at all. I can't." She hesitated for a moment before extending a hand toward Izuku, offering her assistance. "I know that you're training for a quirk, which means I'll add more wood to the fire. This beach is nearly finished, that, and adding your combat training." Izuku accepted her helping hand as he got to his feet. Maki's expression became even more intense as she clarified her intentions. Don't take this the wrong way. I am not doing this because of gratitude. If you say something, or even point it out, I'll kill you." She blushed, her voice stumbling as she struggled to express herself clearly. Izuku nodded his head frantically, not wanting to die. Maki continued to look away from him as he sighed. "I made a new friend." Izuku quietly smiled to himself, feeling happy. I am doing my best in these last 2 months. Exhaustion might just be the death of you. No need for anger. It's simply a fact." Maki's gaze was icy as she spoke to Izuku. "Like, what the hell is going on here?" Junko's voice echoed in disbelief, her expression an odd mix of freaked out and intrigued. She noticed Maki sitting on Izuku's back while he did push-ups, and her expression showed both surprise and curiosity. On the other side, Mikan held Sodto back, preventing her from lashing out and attacking Maki in a fit of jealousy. "Hey, hold on, you can't just casually sit on his back like that. That spot is exclusively reserved for his girlfriend, you know? Girlfriend, only his girlfriend get the privilege of sitting on his back." Sodto's tone was sharp, filled with possessiveness and a peculiar kind of insistence, her words laced with a demanding edge. 20 I can't." Izuku's hands tremble in a sweat. "Quit whining. You seriously giving up just because you think I'm heavy?" Maki's eyes flashed with irritation, her voice cold and unwavering. "I'm pretty light." "Of course you're light," flatty chest Sodto taunted, her tone sharp and cutting. Maki's expression darkened, a vine almost visibly sprouting from her forehead. "Do you want to die? Get off him or you'll be the one 6 feet under." Sodto barked, her tone a mix of aggression and possessiveness, as Mikan struggled to pacify her. Junko rubbed her eyes, blinked, and then blinked again. "OMG, his group is growing." Sodto, Mikan, Maki. "You know this guy's got something seriously special if he's attracting all these girls. And I bet it's in his pants." Yuno only stared at Izuku deeply, her eyes glued on his sweat as it dripped onto the floor. It gave her a warm, fuzzy sensation in between her that she couldn't describe. But she liked seeing Izuku in such a hot, sweaty state. Junko couldn't help but thrill at the whole situation. This was something she wanted to see until the end. She knew she wasn't going to be bored out of her mind like a zombie. "Sister, you look jumpy," Makuro pointed out. "Ugh, seriously, shut your trap, Makuro. Nobody wants to hear from the gene reject. This is why Mom always favored me over you." Junko shoved Makuro's face away with disdain before taking her seat next to Yuno, with Makuro following behind like the obedient little minion she is. Yuno sighed, upset and tired from the last event. So Junko whispered, her voice filled with a teasing lilt, "Who won the fight? Was it you? Or her?" Junko's eyes darted towards Sodto with a mischievous glint. "Well, it must have been one of you 'cause the two of you are alive and pumping like wares." "Ugh, what's with that intense gaze? Are you trying to drill a hole into my soul?" Junko remarked, eyeing Yuno cautiously. Yuno's eyes narrowed, a sharp glint in her gaze. "Why do you want to know? How do you know that?" Junko shrugged nonchalantly. "Oh, come on. Loosen up, everyone here's tumbling into the vortex of intense love and romance. Seriously, it's like a hormonal explosion, especially with these crazy and love girls around. You know very well who I am referring to." "I'd rather not discuss it," Yuno replied curtly. Sodto, please." Mikan's plea trembled in desperation, her feeble attempts at restraining Sodto falling apart. Sodto's growl reverberated, her irritation palpable. Flat chest, scram crossing her arms. She bellowed with a mix of anger and frustration. Now her demand echoed with a no-nonsense tone that cut through the tension. Izuku pushed down. 99ah's head hits the floor as he has one more push-up left. His hands are shaky as he feels another girl on his back. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Maki's forehead aggressively presses against Sodto's, her voice cutting through the tension. "Do you want to die? You'll be pushing up daisies if you don't unburden my boyfriend right now," Sodto snapped, her forehead defiantly meeting Maki's in a fierce stare down. "Oh, why you're back," Izuku Mikan sighed, her voice carrying a mix of concern and timidity as she watched Izuku wrestle with the challenge of supporting two girls. "Izuku, screw it up, and we're starting from scratch." Izuku sensed the chill of Maki's gaze piercing the back of his head. While that is happening, Junko and Makuro sit beside Yuno against the wall. Junko's sinister grin widened as she locked eyes with Yuno. Well, this is going to be one hell of a ride, isn't it? The spread of despair can wait. Little did you know, your sweet Izuki is in for a world of suffering. The seeds of despair are planted, and the harvest will be deliciously agonizing." Yuno fixed a sharp, ruthless gaze on Junko. "My Izuki won't suffer, not as long as I'm right beside him." She adorned her face with a sweet, innocent smile, a facade that, despite its cuteness, held an underlying sense of menace. Junko found Yuno's skill at projecting a cute, yet eerie demeanor simultaneously impressive and unsettling. "My Izuki knows deep down how much I care. He just lost," Yuno declared, her tone carrying a mix of sweetness and determination. "Lost is an understatement, but sister, you can't be sorry. Shut it. Go take a leak in the grass or something." Junko's eyes cut Makuro off. Junko glared at her with irritation and ruthlessness in her eyes. Yuno and Sada glared at Izuku as he laid on the floor with no girls sitting on his back. He did not look happy as most boys would, which Junko found funny. She internally giggles with despair radiating off her. "I should try to sit on his face," she muttered. "What?" Yuno and Junko's sister choked. "Please get off," Izuku pleaded as he felt embarrassed. He didn't want to question nor think about the sensations he felt on his back. "Why does it feel nice in Midoriya? Pure thoughts," his mind shouted. Sodto and Maki continued arguing as Izuku laid on his stomach with his head, resting on the floor in defeat. Over the past few months, Maki had been imparting the fundamentals of combat to Izuku. From mastering knockout techniques to identifying vital points, Izuku grappled with the notion that hitting these points could mean lethal consequences. He hesitated, unsure if he should fully embrace Maki's teachings. Before he realized it, Izuku stood atop a mound of trash at Takoba Municipal Beach Park. His voice echoed into the sky, his shirtless body drenched in sweat, fists clenched in unwavering determination. Witnessing Izuku's intense training were Maki, Sodto, Mikan, Yuno, Junko, and her sister. They observed as Izuku shouted with all his might, the sun casting a halo around him. Skinny Mite chuckled, watching alongside the others. His tone conveyed admiration. "Incredible. Not a single piece of trash on this beach. That's my boy." Maki, suppressing any visible sign of approval, couldn't resist a faint smile at Izuku's achievement. "Idiot," she grumbled quietly, the corner of her lips betraying a subtle acknowledgement. Yuno, Mikan, and especially Sodto burst into exhilaration, their voices rising in unison, echoing with joy as they enthusiastically screamed Izuku's name. Ugh, seriously? Junko drawled, arching a perfectly manicured eyebrow. She shot a disdainful look at the trio, a mix of annoyance and disapproval in her eyes. With an exasperated sigh, she added, waking up early is, like, totally the worst thing ever. Seriously, why bother? Sis Izuku's training. It's done. Obviously you skank. Junko sighed, adding her signature flair. Izuku body wobbled as he falls back. Izuki. Well, that's just the pinnacle of drama, isn't it? Junko observed with hands planted firmly on her hips, a smirk playing on her lips, fully anticipating the unfolding spectacle. He's gonna catch him. Loosen your panties, folks. All Might swiftly buffed up, catching Izuku in his arms. Well done, young Midoriya, he exclaimed, a warm smile directed at the tired boy. Izuku chuckled, told ya, All Might. All Might gently placed Izuku on his feet. The girls gathered around them. In a fleeting moment, All Might laughed, while Izuku's face morphed from shock to disgust as he picked a piece of hair. Well, All Might chuckled, not mirroring Izuku's expression. Young Midoriya, eat this. The collective gasp echoed through the room, a cacophony of surprise so intense that even Maki, who could silence her footsteps, couldn't mute the sheer disbelief. Mikan, usually reserved and gentle, blinked as if she had just been slapped with a fish. Yuno's eyes widened, and for a moment, her future diary couldn't predict the sheer chaos that had unfolded. Meanwhile, Sodto, with her candy rush powers, looked like someone had swapped her sweetness with a dash of wasabi. Even her insanity candy couldn't prepare her for this moment. In the midst of this uproar, there was a double take when Yuno saw Yuno. Yes, you read that right. Two Yunos, both equally baffled by the situation, briefly contemplating if there was a glitch in the Yandere Matrix. As their souls tried to comprehend what just happened, Maki, usually a stoic figure, couldn't help but burst into laughter. It wasn't the silent, assassin-like chuckle you'd expect. No, this was a full-blown, stomach-hurting, tears rolling down the cheeks kind of laughter. The air in the room hangs heavy with anticipation as Izuku hesitantly eyes the peculiar strand of All Might's hair in his trembling hand. It's necessary, right? Izuku questions, glancing at All Might, who seems to be suppressing a chuckle. It's the only way, All Might declares dramatically, puffing up his chest. Suddenly, he transforms from a symbol of peace into a bizarre culinary instructor. Eat this. Izuku, looking both bewildered and a bit queasy, obediently takes a bite of the hero's hair. The girls watch in a mix of horror and amusement, unsure whether they should be concerned for Izuku's well-being or if they've just stumbled upon an unconventional cooking show. With his eyes closed, Izuku waits, and then blinks more times than necessary. Did it work? He stammers, his expression a mix of confusion and mild panic. It isn't instant you should have the quirk during your entrance exam, good luck, young man, All Might reassures him. But his attempt at comfort sounds more like an ominous prophecy. It isn't instant you should have the quirk during the entrance exam, good luck, young man, he echoes dramatically, as if he's narrating the opening scene of a hero-themed sitcom. In the midst of this bizarre initiation, Sodto can't contain her concern. She rushes forward, hugging Izuku like a concerned parent, and begins stroking his hair as if it had just been through a traumatic experience. The concoction touched Izuku's tongue, and his face twisted in an involuntary grimace. It tastes like sour milk, he exclaimed, his soul momentarily escaping his body in a comical display of shock. Collecting himself, he jolted upright, a sudden realization hitting him the entrance exam was about to begin. Thanks. All Might, Izuku called out with a determined smile, waving to the iconic hero. His gaze shifted to the group of girls gathered around him, each with a unique spark in their eyes, ready to embark on the hero journey together. Eager to start the exam, Izuku gestured for the girls to follow him. Their shared commitment and determination echoed in their steps as they prepared to face the challenges ahead. The bond they formed in that moment would shape their destinies, intertwining their paths on the heroic journey they were about to undertake. The students walk in and out of U.A High where the entrance exam is taking place. Outside, the building that is shaped, U.A. Izuku gazes at the building, seeing how huge and tall the school is. Sodto clings close to Izuku as her and the rest of the girls, Yuno, Mikan, Sodto, Junko, and her sister, all stood near close to Izuku. As Izuku walks forth unintentionally, leaving the girls behind for a moment, he trips. He feels himself fall into his doom. He closes his eyes and waits for the impact. "Hey, are you okay?" A girl smiles at him. She had short brown hair and a kind smile. "I hope you don't mind using my quirk on you," she says. Izuku freaks out as he finds himself floating. The girls watch with jealousy as she helps Izuku on his feet. "I have to get going, good luck." She leaves quickly as Izuku turns to the girls in a nurse expression. "Why did you look at her for more than 5 seconds? Sodto glared at Izuku with eyes screaming with jealousy. "You like her, don't you?" "I am much better than her." "Understood." "No, obviously not." Izuku juggled his words. "I mean, yes, you are better than her." Junko chuckled softly to herself, a wicked gleam in her eyes. "He's absolutely going to get his life in danger one day," she mused with a dark amusement, her voice laced with a mix of superiority and a twisted sense of entertainment. The jealous exchange between Izuku and Sodto only fueled her delight, as she reveled in the brewing emotions, a master puppeteer orchestrating the strings of their feelings. Poor dear, drowning in his own indecision. How utterly despair-inducing, she added in her thoughts, savoring the unfolding drama like a connoisseur of chaos. Bakugo collided with Mikan, who, in turn, bumped into Izuku. He shot an annoyed look back at the group. "Watch it, nerds." Mikan gasped, darting to Izuku's side, eliciting an extra pang of jealousy from Sodto as she clung desperately to his shirt. Izuku sighs as he watches Bakugo walk past them. He turns to Mikan. "You okay, Mikan?" Mikan nodded, clutching onto Izuku's shirt as if seeking refuge. "I'm okay, I feel better." Her voice, a mixture of timidity and fragile relief, trembled through the words. "What's his problem?" Maki's icy gaze bore into Bakugo, her expression a silent challenge that could freeze even the hottest temperaments. "One word. Bully. Yuno size. Douchebag and an idiot. That's what he is." Junko's eyes glittered with genuine hate. She tilted her head, a malicious smirk forming on her lips. "I mean, look at him. Pure, unadulterated fatherless behavior. He means well." Izuku coughed as he admitted, "Haha, let's not wait any longer." He smirked as the Yandere gals followed him. Inside the building, Izuku found himself sandwiched between his Yandere companions as they took their seats. Bakugo sat nearby, and all eyes were on Izuku. On stage, President Mike took the spotlight. Izuku nearly jumped out of his seat excitedly. "Holy cow, it's President Mike!" he mumbled with enthusiasm. President Mike proceeded to outline the entrance exam rules, emphasizing the importance of gaining points. Villainous robots needed to be disabled to earn those crucial points. Examinees had a mere 10 minutes to showcase their quirks by immobilizing these robotic threats, each with its own point value. The more points an examinee accrued, the better their chances of securing a spot at UA High. Ida rose to his feet with unwavering determination, a paperlet firmly clutched in his hand. "Excuse me, there appears to be a mistake. You only mentioned 3 robots, whereas the handout distinctly states 4. Such a blatant error is unbecoming of UA, the top hero academy in Japan. We are here for inspiration from heroes." "What a freaking nerd," Junko sneered quietly, her disdain evident as she observed the unfolding scene. Izuku's excitement seemed to draw an eye roll from her, and her lips curled into a subtle smirk. Present Mick's explanation of the entrance exam rules didn't escape her critical gaze. As the tension rose with Ida's objection, Junko leaned back, crossing her arms with an air of nonchalance. "Oh, how thrilling, someone complaining about robots. This academy really knows how to pick him," she remarked with a sarcastic undertone, her eyes glittering with a mix of mockery and amusement. Ida's stern gaze swept across the room, finally landing on Izuku, who stood there with a mix of confusion and concern etched on his face. "And you," Ida's voice cut through the tension, a clear directive aimed at Izuku. The room fell silent as all eyes turned towards the green-haired hero in training. Izuku, caught off guard, instinctively pointed to himself, seeking clarification. His brows furrowed in confusion. Ida's expression remained resolute as he addressed Izuku directly, his words cutting through any lingering uncertainty. I can hear your mutters. This isn't some kind of game. If you think so, then you should leave. Oh, buddy, this guy stinks. Please grab a chair, Mr. Teacher's pet, and let the funky-haired dude bask in his moment. Who's really pulling the strings here, you or him? Junko's voice sliced through the air, disrupting the established order with a gleeful challenge. Ida stumbled over his words, his attempts at defiance faltering under Junko's deadly glare. The other girls in the room mirrored her intensity, leaving him with no chance of winning or voicing his opinion. A silent gesture from Junko urged him to take a seat. Thanks a bunch. Chad, your obedience is duly acknowledged, Junko chirped, casually crossing her legs. The glint in her eyes hinted at a thrilling anticipation for the upcoming test. Chuckling erupted from the gathering as President Mick's voice boomed, WOSSS ready. Izuku's enthusiasm echoed through the room. Your late-night radio shows are the best. Thank you. Supportive fan, why can't you all be more like that guy? President Mike gestured toward Izuku, his voice resonating with the stylish coolness that defined him. Sparkles of stars seemed to dance around the charismatic figure. Izuku couldn't help but admire the way President Mike effortlessly commanded attention. That's how cool President Mike truly was. As the mysterious cards were distributed, each revealing the designated locations, excitement buzzed through the room. Yuno, Maki, Sodto, Junko, and her less-than-enthused sister eagerly checked their cards, only to discover that fate had scattered them to different corners of the event. Meanwhile, in a quirk of fate or perhaps just a twisted sense of humor, Mikan found herself assigned to the exact same area as Izuku. His eyes sparkled with excitement as he beheld his card, completely oblivious to the impending storm of Yandere glares. The Yandere squad Yuno, Maki, Sodto, and the disgruntled Junko sister coalition exchanged glances that spoke volumes of disapproval. Mikan, caught in the crossfire of murderous gazes, couldn't help but tremble nervously, the threat of tears hanging in the air. Junko rolls her eyes as she loses her chance to witness Izuku in action. She is very displeased as he snickers. If he gets hurt, I'll Sodto's eyes narrowed in a protective glint as she caught sight of Izuku, her concern for his well-being palpable. Good luck. Honey, do your best, she whispered, her voice a delicate mixture of genuine encouragement and an underlying possessive warmth. She couldn't help but feel a surge of emotions as she watched him, her sugar plum, preparing for whatever challenge lay ahead. Sodto's fingers lightly traced invisible patterns on her own arm, a nervous habit that surfaced whenever Izuku was in the spotlight. Remember, my sweet, sweet Izuku, I'll be right here, cheering you on, she added, her words laced with a subtle possessiveness that only those who knew her well could detect. The tenderness in her voice masked the depth of her attachment, a connection that went beyond the ordinary. I will, Mikan muttered happily, her eyes sparkling with admiration. Not you. Sodto's eyes flashed with a hint of jealousy as she shot a quick glare at Mikan. But in an instant, she switched gears, her expression softening. Don't get hurt. Okay, my sugar plum. She smoothly shifted her focus back to Izuku, her voice a sweet melody carrying an undercurrent of possessiveness. With deliberate tenderness, she gently caressed Izuku's cheek with her thumb, her touch radiating a possessive affection that was uniquely Sodto. A subtle tension lingered in the air, a silent competition for Izuku's attention. Sodto's possessive nature emerged in the way she maintained a loving facade while keeping a watchful eye on Mikan. It was as if she wanted to ensure that her affection for Izuku stood unparalleled, her actions conveying a sense of exclusivity. As she continued to caress Izuku's cheek, her gaze shifted back to Mikan, a silent warning in her eyes. The affectionate gesture, though directed at Izuku, carried an unspoken message to Mikan, a delicate dance of possessiveness and the desire to be the sole focus of Izuku's attention. Izuku's face flushed with embarrassment as she impulsively planted a small peck on his lips. Maki, who happened to be nearby, couldn't conceal her disdain. With a barely audible scoff, she promptly seized Sodto, directing them toward their destination for the impending test. Mikan's face turned a deep shade of red, and she fidgeted nervously at the sight before Sodto, clearly caught off guard by the unexpected display of affection she brought forth on Izuku. In that vulnerable moment, a whirlwind of emotions swept through Mikon. The memories of relentless bullying, the cruel tasks forced upon her, the pranks that left her feeling like a fragile shell all lingered in the recesses of her mind. However, amidst the scars of her past, a flicker of something different stirred within her. She isn't quite accustomed to the warmth of affection, as it had been a scarce commodity in her life. The gentle touch, the genuine care, it all felt foreign, like a soft melody breaking through the silence of her painful history. But in this unexpected moment, as Sodto's affectionate gestures enveloped Izuku, time slowed for Mikon, she found a peculiar comfort in witnessing such tenderness. As Izuku stood by her side, a profound transformation unfolded, a metamorphosis of her narrative. Here, amidst the chaos of her history's storms that had relentlessly battered her fragile character, a haven of solace emerged. It was a refuge, an unexpected sanctuary she hadn't realized she craved, radiating warmth that caused her heart to skip a beat. Within the intricate tapestry of her romantic entanglement with Sodto, Mikon unearthed an altogether unique connection with Izuku. This bond went beyond the scars etched by her past, providing a breath of fresh air, an oasis of security that allowed her to exhale the burdens she'd carried for so long. Mikon looks away. She could help nor stop her trembling hands, her reddening face. At the entrance exam, city replicas. This is nerve-wracking. Izuku's body tensed up as he faced the imposing steel gate, a knot of nerves tightening in his stomach. The group stood in anticipation, gathered outside the entrance to the rigorous test that awaited them. Izuku, you look kinda nervous, Mikon pointed out with a gentle smile, her worry evident. But, don't worry, I'm here. I can, heal you if anything happens. She blushed ever so slightly, her words a soft reassurance in the midst of tension. Izuku couldn't help but appreciate Mikon's offer. Thanks, Mikon, he responded, a grateful smile breaking through his nervous demeanor. The support from his friends was a source of strength as they prepared to face the challenges ahead. Izuku's attention was drawn to a visibly nervous girl. He decided to step out of his comfort zone, extending a hand to help her feel more at ease, especially since she had saved him from an embarrassing trip earlier. However, before Izuku could make much progress, Ida intercepted him, expressing concern about him potentially distracting the girl from her concentration. Confused, Izuku felt the weight of judgmental gazes from the surrounding crowd, all assuming the worst. Mikon, her hands trembling, attempted to assist Izuku in navigating the situation. President Mick's booming voice interrupted, declaring, "Well, there's no time to waste on saving people." The gates swung open, and in the blink of an eye, the bustling crowd dispersed, leaving Izuku and Mikon alone. Caught off guard, Izuku signaled for Mikon to follow him, gesturing urgently as she struggled to keep up with his pace. I am right behind." Mikon followed desperately as her legs trembled as she ran behind Izuku. Come on, Izuku struggled desperately. Each robot he found was destroyed right in front of his eyes. Mikon gasps, facing the difficulty of earning points. Her healing efforts, while impactful, don't contribute much to her score. The struggle intensifies for Izuku. Everywhere his gaze turns, he witnesses competitors utilizing their quirks, steadily accumulating points as time ticks away. The ominous prospect looms. If this trend persists, Izuku risks ending up with 0 points, a scenario that could jeopardize his admission to UA. Nervous sweat beads on Izuku's forehead as he scans the surroundings persistently. He's been rescued a few times, but the challenge remains formidable. These robots are designed to be dismantled by quirks, be it physical strength or the unique abilities granted by one's quirk. In the spectator room, All Might's eyes are fixed on Midoriya, his body language revealing an unspoken encouragement for the determined young hero. Across the monitors, the pro heroes and UA's peculiar yet lively principal Nizu, a hybrid of rat and dog, watch intently. Nizu's paws clap together in delight as he observes the students pouring their efforts into the training exercise. Aizawa, quick to notice All Might's unwavering focus on Midoriya, exchanges a knowing glance with the animated principal. That boy's score is at 0 if this continues. He's on a path to failure, Aizawa remarked. Quite unfortunate, Nizu chimed in with a chuckle. I can see his potential. There's something amazing he's keeping under wraps, All Might interjected, attempting to uplift the mood and preserve Izuku's image. Young Midoriya, fret not about their judgments. You've got the potential. Anyone, with sufficient determination, can rise to the challenge. You've instilled that belief in me, my boy. All Might's grin broadened. Well, since the clock is ticking, I might as well give this colossal invention a shot. Haha. Nizu laughed with a touch of sadistic glee, accidentally spilling coffee over his outfit. Aizawa's eyes narrowed, a note of concern in his tone. Nizu, you can't seriously be considering this. Having a literal kid handle that situation is a recipe for disaster. Nizu chuckled as he pressed the red button. Oops, my paw slipped. Aizawa's gaze hardened, a clear disbelief etched on his face. Really? Nizu chuckled like a maniac, as All Might sighed with a troubled expression. Up back to Izuku. The ground rumbled beneath Izuku and Mikan's feet. Mikan's eyes widened, and she grabbed onto Izuku's arm. Izuku, she screamed, her voice drowned in the noise. Izuku, jaw agape, scanned the impending threat. Who was going to take that thing down? He felt a nervous sweat forming on his brow. In a moment of instinct, Izuku clasped Mikan's hand, urging her to run with him. A desperate cry for help pierced the chaotic scene, halting Izuku in his tracks, forcing Mikan to a sudden stop as well. And Mikan's ears caught the cry, and the dust settled around them. Izuku, unmoving, clenched his fist, his gaze locked in the direction of the plea. It's the kind girl. Izuku identified the endangered person. The colossal machine advanced slowly, leaving destruction in its wake. Mikan, her leg must be injured from that rock, Izuku observed, analyzing the perilous situation. Izuku, what are you going to do? Mikan shouted, her fear palpable. She didn't understand why, but she didn't want Izuku to go. She knows he's strong, but she's scared watching him leave as her heart sank to the ocean water of fear. I have to do this. Nobody is helping her. Determination flashed in Izuku's eyes as students ran past him, seemingly abandoning the girl's desperate cry for help. What kind of hero can I call myself if I can't take action for a person in need? Yes, I am sorry, Mikan apologized, her steps quick as she rushed towards the injured girl. As Ida hurried past Izuku, he couldn't comprehend why he wasn't running. Suddenly, Izuku disappeared from his sight, leaping into the roaring sky. He yelled with all his might, recalling All Might's words. Clench your butt cheeks and yell from the heart. Smas. The powerful quirk surged through Izuku's arm, colliding with the colossal robot and erupting in a dazzling explosion. Izuku stood, staring at the aftermath in shock in the air. What? Hanli, Izuku questions as his face sees the destruction he had done to the robot. In the monitor room, Holy Esekai, All Might's gaze fixed on Midoriya, plummeting down to what seemed like doom. I am proud, my boy, but... The heroes gathered in the room erupted into applause, their admiration evident as they witnessed the courageous actions of the young boy. Present Mike, Midnight, and Vlad King, among others, joined in the applause, offering nods of approval in response to Izuku's remarkable display of heroism. The atmosphere was charged with positive energy, acknowledging the significance of such heroic deeds. You've proven my point more. Midoriya. All Might smiles brightly at the screen. Nizu twirls in his chair, his paws coming together in spirited applause. Such a splendidly heroic performance, he chortles gleefully. I am genuinely astounded. You were absolutely correct about this lad's concealed potential. Aizawa's gaze sharpens, fixating on the monitor. A quirk that wreaks that kind of havoc is a disaster waiting to happen. The other heroes in the room clapped their hands in amazement for young Izuku, who impressed half of all the heroes with his heroic decision. Aizawa, however, remains focused and serious, his demeanor adding a touch of gravity to the celebratory atmosphere. Heroic actions like those are what true heroes are. Nizu chuckles. That boy is definitely going to be in your class, Aizawa. Rewrite. I ain't handling a quirk that's all about destruction. No offense, Aizawa. That's squarely in your court. Vlad King shoots a glance at Aizawa, beads of sweat forming on his brow as he witnesses Izuku effortlessly dispatch a colossal robot with a single punch. Fine. Don't be surprised by the results. Aizawa nonchalantly shrugs, disappearing further into the folds of his loosely draped cloth scarf, his gaze fixed on the monitor. Back to Izuku. Amidst Mikan's tearful distress, she delicately maneuvers Izuku's broken form into the correct position. Lucky for Izuku, the kind girl saved him from his fall. Her hands press firmly on his shattered leg, witnessing the swift healing process that, despite lasting a mere 20 seconds, feels like an eternity. Frantically sobbing, Mikan's hands move seamlessly to the other leg, guiding it back to its original shape. Despite her exhaustion, she persists, pushing herself to mend every injury, beads of sweat forming as she breathes heavily, showcasing unwavering determination. The group of students observes in captivation as Mikan's efforts unfold. A collective hush falls over the onlookers, drawn into the intensity of the moment. Izuku, I'm sorry, I am so useless, Mikan confesses, burying her face in tears, her heartfelt apology echoing in the somber atmosphere. The students respectfully make way for the kind girl whom Mikan has healed. The healed girl, now gazing at Izuku with concern, shifts her attention towards the experienced figure of Recovery Girl. Oh, look what we have here, Recovery Girl sighs, scrutinizing Izuku's considerably healed legs. Missy, did you do that? Mikan, meeting Recovery Girl's gaze, nods sadly, tears still streaming down her cheeks. I can heal, but I can't heal Izuku, I am so useless. I can't. I am tired. I am worn out, she confesses, her hands clenching on her lap in a display of emotional turmoil. Quit your sobbing, Recovery Girl sighs, extending a gummy bear to Mikan, who takes it with confusion etched on her face. Approaching Izuku, Recovery Girl plants a kiss on his head, prompting a flush of red on Mikan's face as she anxiously watches. MMU, Missy. What's your name? Recovery Girl smiles, her wise eyes fixed on Mikan. Mikan Tsumaki, Mikan stutters. Is Izuku, she stammers, going to be okay? Will his recovery be good? Her trembling hands convey deep concern for Izuku's well-being as Recovery Girl smiles reassuringly. They carefully move Izuku to the recovery room. Follow me. I could use an assistant like you, Recovery Girl offers kindly. I'll discuss with Nizu what can be arranged for your potential entry into this school. You'll receive a letter simultaneously with the student's test results. Thank you, I believe I am skilled. Mikan smiles and nods. Izuku pops in the back of her head. Mikan rests her hand above her chest. I can't fight at all, but I am not worthy of such. Recovery Girl's words resonated as the crow of students watch her walk with Mikan. Doubting is the worst of all. I've observed that you accurately identified the injuries on this boy. A regular person wouldn't have been able to do that. She gestured, her wise eyes focused on Mikan. You adjusted the boy's leg so that it would heal back into place correctly. Rather. You helped the boy's body correct its position without making the body correct by adjusting the bone back into place, Recovery Girl hummed. Mikan's breath caught as she absorbed the compliment. She glanced at the passed-out Izuku, a mix of emotions swirling within her. I am glad I sorry for not being useful. She closed her eyes, biting her lip in regret. The weight of the moment hung in the air, a blend of accomplishment and self-reflection settling in. Day of the results. The girls all got their letters, including Mikan, who let hers close as she looked at Izuku with a nervous gaze. Izuku didn't know why the girls insisted on coming over to his home, in his room. He held his letter as he sweated nervously, seeing Yuno, Maki, Sodto, Junko, and her sister, who analyzed his room as if it were full of traps. Hey, your mom's not bad, Junko quipped with a playful smirk, settling into Izuku's bed. She's like the kind of mommy I'd totally sign up for. Enough of your nonsense, Maki snapped, her eyes narrowing at Junko. Get off his bed. You're being incredibly rude. Junko let out a sly snicker directed at Maki, rising from her seat with a deliberate sway, her assets provocatively close to Maki's face. Beach, I know you aren't talking. You're acting as if you live here, she declared, arms crossed with a bold flare, casting a pointed glare down at her. Maki and Junko engaged in their usual banter, while Yuno and Sodto leaned in, their gazes fixed on Izuku. Did you get the letter? They both asked eagerly. Mikan, on the other hand, hesitated to pose the question. More than that, she was apprehensive about opening her own letter. This piece of paper held the verdict on whether she would stand alongside Izuku at UA High. Izuku nodded, clutching the letter in his hand. I got it, it's here, he replied, his nervousness evident as the words seemed to stick in his throat while holding onto the unopened letter. Ugh, seriously? What's with the dramatic pause? Just rip it open already, don't be such a wimp. The suspense is killing me, Junko groaned impatiently, her tone a mix of annoyance and eagerness. In the chaotic investigative dance happening in Izuku's room, Junko's sister transformed into a human detective vacuum, scanning for the faintest whiff of anything remotely suspicious. Meanwhile, Izuku, looking like a rabbit caught in the headlights, gingerly opened the mysterious letter. The rest of the girls, sensing intrigue, gathered around, forming a circle of curiosity. They were like a team of detectives ready to crack the case of the century. Well, maybe not the century, but at least the case of Izuku's peculiar letter. Junko's sister, not one to be swayed by mere curiosity, continued her relentless quest for hidden secrets. She even checked under the bed, as if expecting to find a secret portal to another dimension or, more likely, a stash of hidden snacks. Izuku, still staring at the letter as if it might explode, felt the pressure of all eyes on him. Mikon, with her nurse instincts, was ready to provide emotional support. Sumiki, in a hushed voice, said, "Don't worry, Izuku. I have my first aid kit ready just in case." Mikon stammered, her eyes filled with a mix of concern and a genuine desire to help. She clutched the first aid kit to her chest, as if it held the cure for all worries. As the tension in the room reached its peak, Junko's sister surfaced from her investigation, holding a suspicious-looking sock. She examined it, as if it held the key to the universe. The girls exchanged puzzled glances. Suddenly the note displays an hologram of All Might. He tells Izuku that he made it into U.A, and by luck, despite not having villain points, Izuku had gained hero points for saving the girl, who tried to give some of her points to Izuku, believing he had failed. Maki's eyes glared at the screen of the girl. Points? Why offer when I gain the most? Izuku doesn't need her points. Sodto hugs Izuku for passing. Darling, you did it. Soon after, all the girls opened their letters, revealing that they all made it except for Mikon, who is yet to open her letter. Ugh, seriously, Junko sighed, casting a glance at Mikon, who hesitated to open her letter. The room was filled with a mix of anticipation and worry as everyone else had already unveiled their results. Oh, well, I wasn't sure what to say. Mikon nervously speaks, her voice sounding shaky and fragile. I didn't do much. I am scared to open my letter. I highly believe I failed, Izuku. I am sorry. Her words hang in the air, a heavy admission of self-doubt and regret. Mikon's voice quivers, carrying the weight of her insecurities, and her body trembles with the raw emotion of her perceived failure. Izuku, sensing the depth of her distress, places a gentle hand on her shoulder, his eyes reflecting understanding and empathy. The room becomes an echo chamber of silence, filled only by the palpable sadness that surrounds Mikon. In that moment, her vulnerability paints a poignant picture, casting shadows of doubt and sorrow on the walls of Izuku's room. Well, don't stand there like a Dumbo. Junko's frustration pierced through her words, a sharp edge cutting through the air. Her impatience was evident as she demanded, "Well, did you pass or not? Obviously, you must have made it like the rest of us." She pointed emphatically at the other girls, a blend of impatience and expectation coloring her tone. "Oh, please don't get tears on the floor when you open the letter." The room hung in a charged silence, the weight of Junko's words pressing on Mikon. Izuku, watching the scene unfold, felt a pang of empathy for Mikon's vulnerability in this moment. "Sorry, I am horrible. This is why I have no friends. Why I am always stepped on. You must hate me, Izuku." Mikon's voice wavered with sorrow as she spoke, her admission carrying the weight of self-doubt. Her frown deepened, mirroring the ache in her heart, and tears silently streamed down her face, leaving behind trails of unspoken pain. Izuku's hands moved in a calming rhythm, a desperate attempt to soothe Mikon's escalating distress. He managed a sympathetic smile, awkward but genuine, directed at both Junko and Mikon. "It's okay, Mikon," he reassured softly, his voice a steadying presence in the room. "Take your time. When you're ready, you can open the letter." The weight of the moment lingered, the unspoken tension palpable in the air. Izuku's empathy radiated as he waited for Mikon to gather the courage to confront the contents of that seemingly daunting letter. Mikan's refusal was accompanied by a hesitant shake of her head. "No, I'm sure everyone is curious," she admitted, her hands betraying her nervousness with a visible tremor. The room held its breath, an unspoken understanding that Mikan was about to unveil a truth that had the potential to reshape their collective reality. Mikan unfolded the letter with a mix of anticipation and trepidation, her heart pounding in her chest. The words on the paper seemed to cast a shadow, as if foretelling disappointment. Recovery Girl's verdict was delivered in stark black ink. She hadn't made it. The room held its breath for a moment, a heavy silence enveloping them. Yet, within the disappointment, a silver lining emerged. Mikan's eyes traced the unexpected twist in the letter. Recovery Girl had not only conveyed the news, but had also woven a different path for Mikan. However, the letter continued, "I've spoken with Nizu about a special opportunity for you. You will embark on an internship under my guidance, assisting Izawa as the healer of the class. On designated days, you'll also work closely with me, learning and honing your skills." Izuku's warm smile illuminated the room, mirroring the sunlight that bathed him in a gentle glow. His words carried genuine happiness and pride as he spoke to Mikan. "Wow," he exclaimed, the sincerity in his tone undeniable. "Mikan, that's great. I am genuinely happy for you. You should be proud. You've earned it, Mikan. Truly." His hands found her shoulders, offering both physical and emotional support. Mikan's face flushed deeply, the weight of Izuku's encouragement impacting her profoundly. "And don't think for a moment that nobody likes you," he continued, his gaze sweeping across the room. "We are all here for you." Izuku gestured inclusively, encompassing Yuno, Sodto, Maki, Junko, and even Junko's sister, who lingered in the periphery of Izuku's room, each a testament to the camaraderie that had developed among them. Mikan's gaze fixed on Izuku, captivated by the brightness and warmth he radiated. So bright, so full of sunshine. Izuku, her eyes welled up, tears threatening to spill over as she hastily wiped them away. "Yo, you mean that?" Mikan stammered, her voice laced with a mixture of disbelief and hope. "You don't hate me? Don't find me annoying? Don't I have a disgusting body? Don't I have a punchable face? Am I not ugly to look at?" In that moment, Izuku's response was swift and genuine, slicing through Mikan's insecurities. "Of course not. I like having you around." Mikan, a warm smile graced his face, and he spoke from the heart. "I like having all you guys." A subtle flush tinged Izuku's cheeks, a hint of embarrassment surfacing. "Even you, Junko. Cut the chase with your mushy feelings." "Disgusting." Junko rolled her eyes, playfully sticking out her tongue with an exaggerated EW. Sato's heart skips a beat as her face heats up. She tugs on Izuku's shirt, and Maki's face bursts into a rosy blush. Shut up. Do you want to die?" Maki couldn't make eye contact with Izuku, as she secretly likes how Izuku felt, as she did her best not to show it. Yuno smiles sweetly while tugging on an Izuku's shirt. "No matter what, will stay by your side." So, this was the end of part 3 of this series. Stay tuned for next part of this series, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.